right. Hi, Clay. Thanks for being here with us today. Today we have Clay Walton-House, Senior Manager at Lenati, and we'll be discussing integrated loyalty strategy.
Good to be here.
All right. So what exactly does an integrated loyalty strategy mean?
Integrated loyalty strategy is really about a philosophy. It's a concept that no longer can marketing organizations be effective in driving true customer loyalty simply by managing traditional marketing tactics like campaigns and offers. Today's customer really requires a much broader and holistic perspective on customer experience and the drivers of real customer loyalty. And so integrated loyalty strategy is exactly that. It's about expanding the view of the customer relationship and owning things like the core product experience itself. As we know, that's the primary vehicle for delivering value to customers and has a much higher impact on the ultimate loyalty that you'll engender.
Okay, that's great. So what are some of the key challenges that companies face today when they're trying to execute on this type of strategy?
I think the challenges that companies face most often when designing and implementing a strategy like this are first and foremost around organizational alignment. When you talk about expanding the ownership or expanding the influence of loyalty marketing beyond traditional marketing tactics and positioning that team or that organization to work more cross-functionally, obviously that implies significant levels of buy-in across the enterprise and a requirement for executive support. So that can be a key challenge if culturally the organization may find that difficult or aren't in support of that sort of initiative. Secondly, I would say that managing a diverse customer base is always a challenge for marketing, and this strategy, if anything, only amplifies that challenge. So being able to distill, what are the loyalty drivers, the satisfaction drivers, the dissatisfaction drivers at a segment level, and develop tactics and strategies that will work for those distinct groups can also be a challenge. And then I think the last one I would bring up is somewhat cliche, but that's ROI. And I think, for an integrated strategy that really works across the customer experience, across the customer life cycle, being able to prove out the ROI of changes to things like the core product or service experience itself is both important and sometimes difficult and risky as you look at some of these bigger changes. But with high risk comes high reward, and so that's certainly a capability that would be required for success.
Okay, great. Can you provide an example of a company who has successfully implemented this type of integrated loyalty strategy?
A company that certainly comes to mind for me is T-Mobile, who we have worked with recently on a number of loyalty initiatives. And they've had a lot of success over this past year, really revolutionizing the wireless industry. And they've done that by taking a very integrated approach to improving the customer experience, which has ultimately had, very, very impressive effects on reduction of churn in particular, seeing a 27% drop quarter over quarter from Q3 to Q4 last year. So some of the things that they've done to really kind of implement a more integrated approach to loyalty have included changes to, core components of the service they provide, like service plans, removal of contracts, changing policies around device upgrades, etc. So in so doing and really coupling that with traditional loyalty marketing, they've created, an experience that really stands out in the U.S. wireless market.
What additional advice would you give to organizations that are looking to enhance their customers' loyalty and thus their brand with their customers?
I think, as you think about the challenges that we talked about earlier, some of the tips and tricks that come to mind for marketers and for organizations, first and foremost, you have to get organized. And getting organized means having a clearly articulated vision that you can then drive buy-in and support with the executives. And so, doing that at a detailed level and having it defined such that people can really believe in it and you can expect to see support cross-functionally is really important. Number two would be investing in analytics. Again, kind of related to that segment level discussion we already had. Without deep analytics capabilities, it's very, very difficult to develop the type of insights that would be required to implement this type of solution. And then lastly, I would say think about measurement up front, and that's not just basic measurement, but more around success KPIs. Traditionally, with marketing, KPIs have been very limited, or at least a narrower scope to more traditional marketing efforts like campaigns and whatnot. But for a strategy like this, you've really got to think about how will you measure success based off changes to the core product experience or broader touch points across the life cycle and across channels.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate your time.
You bet. Thank you.